يا حبيبنا كيف الصحة؟ بخير خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
هيا على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم.
هيا على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
هيا على الفلاح. هيا على الفلاح.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله.
الأمر بعد ذلك تم صلاة القائم يأتي محمد وسيلة الفضيلة الرجل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank the Almighty Allah for another opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Friday, the 9th day of Safar, 1445 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which corresponds with the 25th day of August 2023. Alhamdulillah, the Almighty Allah has given us another opportunity to be here. But then, early Wednesday, we received sad news of the passing away of the mother of our Imam Nuh. May the Almighty Allah forgive her and grant her Jannah. We ask the Almighty Allah to protect her in the grave and give her success on the day of Qiyamah and make her tongue easy in answering the questions of the grave. Last week we spoke about the mother and the importance and the power and the influence of the mother in our lives. Little did we know that 5 days later we will be burying the mother of our Iman. Al-Ummu Madrasa. The mother is a school. In أعددتها, if you prepare her and nurture her, أعددت جيلا كاملا, you have prepared a whole generation. The position of the mother can never be overstated in the history of any human being. The position of a woman in general is a very important position in the life of humanity. Because no matter how big you are, or no matter how small you are, there is a woman who went through labor pains to bring you to this dunya. So it's very, very important we have that respect, that value, for women. I'm tempted to say that some women, and I know I'm going to get some backlash and bashing for this, but I'm going to say it. You know me, my mouth says things. I'm tempted to say that some women don't understand their value. When you go to cook food, you need to put salt in there. You're cooking rice, some salt in there. Whatever food you're cooking, there's going to be salt in there. But then the rice is more expensive than the salt. The steak is more expensive than the salt. The tomato is more expensive than the salt. The spices, every other ingredient that you use to cook food is more expensive than the salt. But without the salt, the food is not going to taste better. That is the role of a woman in our life. She is the salt. She is the garnishing with which we eat food of life. And unfortunately, some of our women do not understand their value in the sphere of life and the activities that we go through. That is why you find them running helter-skelter, trying to find solutions to the problems, whereas the solution is right under their noses. So for us to have a very important community and a developing community, our sisters must understand their role and their purpose in this dunya. It's very, very important. If you understand your role and your purpose as a human being, you will not misuse yourself. You wouldn't be engaged in stuff that is not beneficial. And unfortunately, we have a serious dilemma on this front. And I need to balance this to say that it's worse for the men. Men are in serious crisis in the 21st century. It's very tough to be a man now. Because the developed world or the 21st century is trying to negate the influence and then the role of the man in society. It's trying to take man out of the life or out of life totally. That is why we are advertising around that we need to have powerful, strong, independent, empowered women. So the rate of single motherhood is always on the rise. Because women have been taught that you can make it alone. You don't need a man in your life. If you're a woman here and then you have that thought that you don't need a man in your life, I pray you don't get one. You need a man, whether you like it or not. A couple of years ago, I was having a discussion with some sisters, some young ladies, not in this state, but in another state. I'm not going to mention the name of the state. Muslim girls brought up from very good homes. And they're telling me, Sheikh, I don't want to get married, but I want to have kids. Muslim girls. And I was like, how is that going to happen? She said, no, Sheikh, it's not that I'm going to sleep with another man. No. I want to go and have artificial insemination. Which is get the sperm of a random man inserted into a womb, and then the baby grows in a womb and then she gives birth because she doesn't want to have anything to do with a man, because the modern day has pictured the man as the devil. He is the cause of all the problems that we face in the world. And last week I told us that in a mosque in New York, there is this dilemma that the Masjid is having, which is young girls are being upright Muslim women. They are going to school. They are memorizing the Quran. But the young boys have become homies. They've become gangsters. They are not interested in education. They are not interested in a life. They're only interested in PlayStation. They're interested in just running around the city, not looking for a purpose of their lives. So these young girls look into the masjid and they don't find anybody suitable for them. So that's a challenge we're facing, because manhood now has been defined differently. So the purpose and the role and the influence of the man in the house or in the family or in the community is lost. And as a man, if you want to stamp your authority in your own house, you face obstacles from your own wife. Let me give you an example. We had a problem with the kid in the masjid here. And then I told him, call your father. He said, I don't know my father's number. I was like, what? He said, but I have my mother's number. I said, okay, call her. He called the mother, and I spoke to the mother that this is the problem we have with this kid, so we want you to come over. So she came with some of the sisters and asked her, what is going on? What's happening? And the sister said, whatever happens in the house, the mother doesn't want anything to touch the boy. He is her golden heart. He is her love. She is pampering him. She's taking care of him. She doesn't want anything to happen to him. So she is the main cause of the delinquency nature of the boy in the house. It is true. And when they said it, I looked at her face and she was like, hey, Sheikh. I said, no, mommy, this is not about smiling or laughing or giggling. You are destroying the boy. He is now 9, 10, 11 years old. His bones are not strong. Discipline him in the house. If you do not give him the necessary discipline that he needs when he is 15, 16, and then his bones are stronger, he will start beating you, the mother first. Then I asked myself a question. Where is the father in all this situation? Where is the old man? Where is the father? Where is the man? The America First Policy Institute has an article. Please go and read it. It speaks about the effect of fatherlessness in America today. The absence of the father in the house. When we speak about the absence of the father in the house, we are not speaking about men who are incarcerated or men who have run away. We are speaking about men who are in the house, but they are not there too. He's there. All he knows is he knows how to pay the bills, and that's it. He doesn't care what's going on in the house. He doesn't know the friends of his kids. He doesn't know which madrasa they attend. He doesn't know what surah they are at. He doesn't know anything about the kids. And sometimes the fathers come here to pay the bills and the fees of the kids. You ask him, what is the surah of your child? I need to ask his mother. I'm not telling you something that is happening elsewhere. I'm telling you what's happening here in our madrasa. In the summer school that we had, I got to know a lot of the mothers, because the mothers bring them in, they drop them. The mothers come in to come and pay their fees. The mothers even come in to say, Sheikh, my kid, can you take him a class back? I want him to perfect that class. That's what the mothers do. But the fathers, no. Sometimes the fathers come in and they remain in the parking lot, and the kids will come out to come and join them in the cars, and then they leave. They don't know anything about the kids. For us to understand the purpose and the role and the power and the influence of the man, we need to go back to creation. In Surah Taha, the Almighty Allah said, وَإِذْ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ فَسَجَدُوا إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ أَبَى فَقُلْنَا يَا آدَمُ إِنَّ هَذَا عَدُوٌّ لَكَ وَلِزَوْجِكَ فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ فَتَشْقَى إن لك ألا تجوع فيها ولا تعرى وأنك لا تظمأ ولا تضحى فوسوس إليه الشيطان فقال يا آدم هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى فأكلا منها فبدت لهما سوآتهما وطفقا يخصفان عليهما من ورق الجنة فعصى آدم ربه فغوى. The Almighty Allah told the angels, created Adam, prostrate to him. the shaitan refused, and the Almighty Allah told shaitan. This is why I want you to listen. Please listen to this carefully. The Almighty Allah told Adam, Inna hadha, this guy, shaitan, aduwwun laka wa li zawjik. He is your enemy and the enemy of your wife. فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ. Do not let him kick the two of you out of Jannah. فَتَشْقَى. You, Adam, will suffer. Listen to the verse. The Almighty Allah didn't say, فَلَا يُخْرِجَنَّكُمَا مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ فَتَشْقَيَا. No. When shaitan kicks the two of you out of Jannah, it is only you, Adam, who is going to suffer. It's only you, Adam. That's what the verse says. It's only you, Adam, who is going to go through the challenges. And listen, he said, Inna laka alla tajua fiha wa la ta'ara. You, Adam, it is upon you in Jannah, there is no hunger, there is no thirst, there is no sun, and then there is no homelessness, there is shelter. And then what did he tell him? فَوَسْوَسَ إِلَيْهِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaitan comes to Adam, not the two of them. He comes to only Adam. فَقَالَ لَهُ هَلْ أَدُلُّكَ عَلَى شَجَرَةِ الْخُلْدِ وَمُلْكٍ لَا يَبْلَى. Oh Adam, do you want me to show you the tree of dominion and then the tree of perpetuity and eternity? فَأَكَلَا مِنْهَا. Even though shaitan went to Adam to persuade Adam, it is Adam and Hawa who ate the fruit, the two of them. But then in the end, what the Almighty Allah say? فَعَصَى آدَمُ رَبَّهُ فَغَوَى. It is Adam who is at fault. I hope you understand the line of thinking in the Quran here. The Almighty Allah puts the blame on you, the man, because you are responsible for the nurturing and the education and the upbringing and the development and the progression of the wife and then the family. So if anything goes wrong with the family, with the wife, with the kids, you, the man, are responsible. You are the one who is going to be questioned. That is why if we have a dysfunctional man, it makes the family dysfunctional. It then makes the masjid dysfunctional. It makes the community dysfunctional. It makes the city dysfunctional. It makes the county dysfunctional. It makes the state dysfunctional. It makes the nation dysfunctional. It makes the world dysfunctional. That is the ripple effect of a dysfunctional man. So if we want to have a better world, to have a better nation, to have a better state, to have a better county, to have a better neighborhood, to have a better masjid, to have a better family, we need to have a functional man who understands his role and then his purpose in this dunya. The moment we miss that, we are in trouble. It's not about wearing pants. No. And growing a beard and having a jalbab and your turban. No. What role do you play in the house as the father? What role do you play in the house as the man of the house? Listen, all these things about patriarchy and all these things about toxic masculinity is all nonsense. The world is a patriarchy. The world is a male-dominated place because that is the role that the Almighty Allah has given us. Understand that. Forget about all these nonsense, feminism, liberalism, all these isms are all nonsense. If we want to have a functional world, we need to have strong men. No nation in the history of humanity was foolish enough to send a female-only regiment to war. They never did it. No nation, the Romans didn't do it. The Persians never tried it. Female-only regiment to war, no. Because there are things that must be done. And everybody has a role to play. This is not to say that the women are not useful. No. Always let last week's khutbah ring in your mind. But then the men have a role to play, and the role of the men is responsibility. That is why the Almighty Allah created Adam first, and then he created Hawa. There is a need for us to have a foundation before we build a building on top of it. When the foundation is weak, the building collapses. And the foundation doesn't need to be nice or pretty or beautiful. The foundation just needs to be solid, and that's it. You don't put any furnishing on the foundation. No. It's hard rock, cement, sand, coarse sand, because you need to have a very strong footing, and then the rest of the building follows. So as a man, if you want to be pretty, with your manicure and then your pedicure, you want to be nice, and no, you don't get things that men, we are dirty. That's who we are. We make things happen. That's who a man is. And until you have that mindset in the house as the man, until you train yourself as a man for the responsibility that the Almighty Allah gave you as the head of the house, you're going to have problems in the home. The absence of fathers in the house has caused a lot of problems across the world, and especially here in America. Kids that grow up in fatherless homes are 70% higher to go to prison. 80% of fatherless homes without parents are single mother homes. Girls who grow up in fatherless homes are 8 to 10 times more prone to be pregnant in their teenage age. Boys who grow up in homes without fathers are 80% prone to go to jail. Boys who grow up in homes without fathers are 279% to shoot someone or do drugs or do violence. The secular world agrees with the Almighty Allah that you, the man, you are important in the house. But then again, the same secular world is telling us that no, we don't need you. That is why the Almighty Allah tells you, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. It is you that the Almighty Allah charged with that. You, the man. And as a man, if you shirk that responsibility, there's going to be a lot of consequences for that. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أما بعد. We're speaking about the power and purpose of a man. And as men, number one, you must have an identity. What is your identity as a man? It's very important. Ask yourself this question. Who am I? What am I doing now as a man? You need to have that identity. If you do not have identity, guys, we can move forward so that we can have enough space in the masjid for those who are entering. Please, if you can move forward. What is your identity? It's very, very important. Because if you know who you are and you know where you are coming from, you definitely know where you are going. And the problem of the day for up and coming young men is that they don't know who they are. So they don't know where they are going. Because their father is there in the house. They only see him once a week. The statistics show that even fathers who are in the house, boys of school-going age, spend on the average 30 minutes a week to have a one-on-one conversation with their fathers. 30 minutes a week. 30. And these same boys spend on the average 40 hours on the internet, on games, and then on friends. So if you are having only 30 minutes of influence on your son every week, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. You are in serious trouble. Because your son must see you as his number one role model. If your son has her number one role model outside, with all due respect, fathers, you failed. I'm being very blunt. If your son's number one role model is outside the house and not you, the father, your son has failed. You failed. I'm sorry to say this. Yes, your son can have role models outside. But then, if anything happens to them, if whatever they are going through, they have to look elsewhere first for the solution of the problem before they come to you as their father, I'm sorry, you need to wake up. Because your son needs to see you pray, to learn prayer from you. Your son needs to see you talk to learn how to talk as a man. Your son needs to see you eat to learn how to eat. Your son needs to see you dress to learn how to dress like a man. And your daughter needs to see the right man to choose as a husband in you. If your daughter is looking for a husband, she should look at you, her father, as the blueprint to say, yes, if I want a husband, I want someone who is like my father. So as fathers, we have a long work to do. Last week we were speaking about the mothers and then you were giggling, you were laughing. We have a more daunting task as fathers. Because when the family fails, you have a lot of questions to answer to on the day of Qiyamah. You might pray 5 times a day. You might fast Mondays and Thursdays. You might fast the month of Ramadan. But if your kids are not doing that, you don't care. Your wife is not involved in that, you don't care. The family doesn't have a Muslim atmosphere in there. You are the taqi, the naqi, the zahid, the wari in the house. But then your wife, no. Fine, you will finish with Almighty Allah. Your hisab is perfect. But then the wife will have to raise an objection on the day of Qiyamah in front of the Almighty Allah. Ya Allah, my husband, yes. But then we have problems and you will have to answer those questions. You'll have to answer them. With all due respect, fatherhood is not about what happens in the bedroom alone. That's what some men have reduced fatherhood to. So have an identity. Your identity will help to shape the mold of the house. But if as a father, you do not have an identity, then there's a problem. Secondly, have a purpose. What is the purpose of this family that I'm raising? What do we want to achieve? What individual purposes and goals do I have for my wife? In the next 3 months, what do I want her to achieve? Her personal development, her spiritual development, her emotional development, her psychological development. What short-term goals do I want them to achieve? My son, what are the short-term goals and the long-term and the mid-term goals I want my children to achieve? This should be documented. This is your purpose, because on the day of Qiyamah, you will answer these questions. How did you nurture them? What did you provide for them? Are you only feeding their tummies and then the internet is feeding their brains and then their souls? Next point. Men, learn. Let's learn. Let's read. We don't read. نحن أمة اقرأ ولكن لا نقرأ. We are the nation of read, but we don't read. How many books do you read a month? You don't read at all because you feel you know it. How many lectures do you come to listen to the lectures being delivered? You don't, because you feel you know. Even on Facebook, on YouTube, how many lectures do you watch? Or you only watch women dancing on TikTok? So learn, read. Listen to videos, watch videos, listen to audios. You need to develop as a man. You need to always upgrade. You need to update your software as a man. Because the woman will look at you. Your wife looks up to you for inspiration. Your wife looks up to you for development. She looks up to you for the answers to the questions that she faces day in, day out. The dilemma some young ladies that we've talked to in this community is that they don't find men that they know are on the deen and then they are practicing, and at the same time they can learn something from them. That's a headache for us men. And I told these young ladies, listen, if you don't find young single men who can provide you for that, look for the old men who already have wives and be second wives and third wives. I told them that. Oh, Sheikh, I said, fine, then remain like that. You'll be 50 years old and you won't get a husband. I told them that. Because if they are in their early 20s, 23, 24, 25, and then they're looking for men of their age to marry them, single men, no, it's like you're looking for a pin in a haystack. You can't find one. Let's let our women and we the men ourselves understand. Let's psych our minds to the solutions of the problems. Let's not copy what other people's cultures tell them. We have a problem. We have a solution in our societies. We have the solution in the Quran and the Sunnah, but then we are looking elsewhere for the solutions. I told them, find someone who's already married and get married to him. That's it. Because if a man is in his 40s, 45, we believe he is successful, he has some footing, he has some stability, he'll be able to take care of you. Because you need someone who's already established, you need someone who is already made. That's your test now. You don't want someone who now you're going to start from zero with. You need someone who is already established. He already has a wife. So let's look at that and find solutions to the problem. So your purpose, you learn, and the men understand that sometimes we need help. Sometimes you need help. That is why the death rate in men is higher than in women. I'm not saying that's the cause of death, but then the statistic shows that because we men, we swallow a lot of things. We swallow a lot of things. So you have men have, a lot of health problems, cardiac arrest, blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, because we swallow a lot of things. And sometimes you find a man sit, he's going through a lot of thought process, and your wife is sitting next to you. She's thinking, he's thinking of adding another wife. You are thinking of how to pay their bills. She is thinking that you're thinking of adding another wife. So men, let's understand that sometimes we will need help. It's very, very important. Sometimes we need people to talk to. Sometimes we need people to share the burden and the load with, psychologically and emotionally. So you need to find, company like that. You need to find people like that, whether they are imams, whether they are your friends, whether they are colleagues at the workplace, someone that at least you can have, an open chat with concerning your problems. Because we men, yes, we are very, very protective. We're very, very covering. I don't want people to know I'm in problems. I don't want people to know I'm facing this challenge. Yes, it's our build and our mold as men that we don't want our problems to be out there. But sometimes you need to find someone that you trust that you can speak to. It helps to ease a lot of burden. And those of us that people come to us to speak to us, let's be mindful of people's secrets. That's why a lot of people don't want to talk to other people. Because I speak to you, the next day my story is on Facebook. It's problematic. So men, find someone to help, to speak to. It's very, very important. But ultimately, understand that our role as men in this dunya is that of responsibility. We are responsible for running the dunya. It is not a privilege. It is a duty. When the Almighty Allah created us as men, He didn't just put the crown on our heads and then He said, "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala an-nisa," just like that. No, it is responsibility. You must be responsible. And sometimes things are not going to be nice and beautiful and sleek and smooth. No. Sometimes to do the things you need to do them the hard way. Why are you worrying this kid? Leave the kid alone. He's too cold. You get waking them up. Sometimes the kids come here and you look at his face and then he's not had a shower in the morning. He's come here and ask him, "Didn't you wash up before coming?" My mom didn't wake me up. Okay, fine. What time did you pray Fajr? And then he starts scratching his head. He didn't pray Fajr before coming. They only wake the kid up. Prepare. You are late for school. Prepare, and that's it. So if the kid wakes up in the morning and the salah is not part of his business plan as a parent, you failed. You failed. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Murru awladakum lis-salah bi-sab'in." Order your kids to pray at the age of 7. This is a worst case scenario. This is a worst case scenario. Your child shouldn't start praying at the age of 7. Your child should start praying the very first day they are born. Someone will say, how is this possible? If your son sees you, the father, pray in the house, he's going to pray. There's a kid here. He's around here. I've seen him. Anytime for the summer school, he comes in. I love him. Young boy, very energetic. But then everything about him, he wants to read the Quran. He wants to read the Quran. Why? He grew up in a home like that. But then your son is all about, what's up, man? Yo, man. What's poppin', man? Because that's the language you speak in the house. And psychologists tell us that when a child is born from the age of 0 to the age of 5, he has a clean brain. They call it tabula rasa. It's white and clean. Whatever he sees for the first 5 years, he copies. So his mind is just like a cassette recorder, recording everything he sees for the first 5 years. From the second 5 to 10, he is going to implement whatever he sees in the first 5 years. So the Prophet said, Murru awladakum lis-salali sab'in. When your child is 7 years old and then he's not praying, that is a worst case scenario. You need to order him because he has 3 more years of implementation. So if he doesn't see you pray and then he sees other things, he's going to implement those things. So you need to catch up, al-istidrak. You need to make up for these 3 years that are left. Because after the age of 10, what the Prophet ﷺ said, وَضْرِبُوهُمَ عَلَيْهَا لِعَشْرٍ. If he's at the age of 10 years and then he doesn't pray, spank him. Because after the age of 10 to the age of 15, that is when the lifestyle becomes ingrained in him. So if your child is at the age of 15 years and then he's already rotting, then the only hope you have is in dua. You can't do anything. That is why from the age of 0 to the age of 15 is a very, very delicate and important time in the life of kids, both males and females. So as a parent, you have all that time. So don't come to me when your kid is 15 years old and say, Sheikh, remember us in prayer. My son is proving difficult. Did he prove difficult in the womb? Did he prove difficult when you were breastfeeding him? What happened? How did he get to the age of 15 years and now he's rotting and then he's corrupted? It's because you as the parent, you shirked your responsibility. I'm not saying there are some, differences to the rule. Yes, some things do happen. You take the son of Noah, for example, alayhi salatu wasalam, of course. You take the wife of Lot, for example, yes. There are istithna'at, there are exceptions to the rule. But then again, there are small or minute exceptions. The major thing is that as parents, whether we are fathers or mothers, the nurturing of the kids is very important because we are their role models. So as women, we need to know our purpose and our role in this life. And as men, we also need to know of our power and of our influence. When we bring these 2 ingredients together, we have a functional community that makes a functional world. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله